The panel discussion today addresses the topic, Synchronization for a Smart Life. First of all, we are pleased to have Dr. Wang, the Executive Vice President of Institute for Information Industry, as the moderator of this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Wang. Please. It's also our honor to have three important panelists today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr.Waylon Yeh, Executive of IBM Taiwan Global Technology Service. Please, Mr.Steve Owen, the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing at NXP Semiconductors. Please. Mr.Edward Pleet, the Connected Services Director of Ford Motor Company in Asia Pacific, Africa, and Europe. Now let's hear from Dr. Wang, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the last session of this very exciting day. We heard from Minister Chen this morning that the driving force of the post-PC era is actually cloud computing. Cloud computing enables us to access our applications, our data, in any place, at any time, with any devices. All kinds of intelligent and new devices, mostly mobile, and also in various different scenarios. It's all supported by the cloud. This will profoundly change the way we live, the way we work, and the way we play. So this leads to the subject of today's panel, which is the collaborative synchronization for a smart life. Now, we are very fortunate to have executives from 3 leadership companies to join us this afternoon to talk about this subject. And they're going to address this subject in the following 3 areas. Firstly, we're going to talk about the enterprise has entered the post-PC era. The mobile device, mobile computing, is the main theme of the post-PC era. The mobile device is taking over the PCs as the main device to access the internet. It has changed the way we live, and it's going to change the way we work as well. Our first panelist will talk about that the enterprise has entered the mobility era. The mobility will enable the enterprises to reach more customers, to have new business opportunities, and also to provide additional service to the existing customers. So in the next few years, we believe the enterprise mobility will generate a number of leading industry leaders in this particular area. Now, IBM is the world-leading system solution provider and integrator. I believe our first speaker from IBM is most qualified to talk about this area. The second subject is actually a new issue, a key issue in this new post-PC area, which is the increased security risks. Our Minister Chen actually this morning called the security an untackled area for cloud computing. Without security and safety, we will not have a smart life. And without security and safety, we will not be able to collaborate. So this afternoon, we have NXP. NXP is a leading provider of trusted identification solutions to come to join us to talk about what they do in terms of security. And I think it's really exciting to see Ford joining Computex for the very first time. It's a very good indication that we've entered the post-PC era. Car, of course, is a very important aspect of our life. In fact, the cars, have had the microprocessors, hundreds of microprocessors in it for many years, right? But what's new this time is that the Ford is introducing Think in Taiwan. What they do in Think is integrating our mobile devices, the smartphones that the tablets into our vehicle. This allows us to access our personalized information inside the car. Our personalized news, music, social media, and so on. So I'm really very excited looking forward to hear these speakers talking about these subjects and also the discussion afterwards. So first, let me introduce the first speaker, Mr.Waylon Yeh from IBM. Waylon is the executive of Global Technology Service from IBM Taiwan. Now, he joined IBM in 1991 and served in financial service sector, healthcare market. He's promoted to the current position in 2010. Waylon leads the team planning, innovation, and the IT-related services include cloud computing. Now let's welcome Waylon Yeh.
Thank you, George, and thank you to my dear guest speaker. Do we have the deck? That's okay.
We do have it. Yeah, do have it.
I move this way. You have a key? You have the remote control? Oh, okay. All right here. I just joking to Steve that I don't want to stand behind the flower. But okay, on this topic that I will talk about mobility. I think that will be a modern world we call the mobilization, or that we have the chance that to help our IBM customers when they facing the mobility and the tablet PC becoming the trend, and how they use that, and how they use that into their business, and how they connect all this with their current database system altogether. That becoming a total solution. So we have plenty of business experience on here. So I will take this 15 minutes to take you through some where these are and what is the trend of the mobile computing and what is the trend of that. And I will also show you lots of example on what we're doing with the customer to use mobile devices to develop their application or some new user experience in enterprise, not in personal, not in consumer. Okay, if we look at the PC trend, just as Dr. Wang said, that mobile devices have over the PC already. And even by next year, they almost will be double of all the devices that are using or access the internet. If we look at how things changing, if you look at that's the journey. When we are first touch the computer and use the computer, it's starting from maybe an IBM mainframe. And the user is so-called maybe 1 million. And when we move into the microcomputer, that will becoming 10 million, 100 million. Yeah. And even we enter the PC era, that's the user that was about 1 billion. They are access the data and they are using the internet. They are access the database and doing some business. But look at the chart today. Today, we are over 10 billions of devices, of users, which are all going into use. This was the most efficient way and doing the things. So that was a very tremendous trend that we cannot forget. Okay, the next chart gives you another analysis from another point of view. The mobile user versus a desktop user. We look at the internet access. the mobile user in we will say it very likely will be 2013 or 2014. They were over the traditional PC users, especially in enterprise. Today, lots of people told us in enterprise, they are still use PC because PC is more secure and they are put this as their standard devices. And it's may be very difficult to replace by the mobile device. But I have to say, don't forget the train is coming. The people, when I go to my office, I have a desktop PC, but my life is more spending my time and my life with my mobile device. So the enterprise is starting to thinking about this. Look at this chart. That the blue bar is the mobile page viewer. The lower bar is the desktop page viewer. You see, the change is very dramatic. Okay, I also can share with you one survey. It's IBM. We're doing a global CIO survey. We have a question to them. What is your top priority in this year? And the most important visionary plan that you're going to meet on this year? Mobility solution is ranking number 2. It's ranking number 2 and becoming the top 2 of their issue. Okay, so that's from the enterprise CIO point of view. I think this was very important messages. I forget about, I will skip this chart, but let's talk about what is the top 3 trends drive mobility. 1, apps, more apps. Last day I went to the KTV, Cash Box. Maybe you too, you can try to join. KTV is very famous, popular place in Taiwan. We're singing. And I suddenly found that you can play the order in your iPhone, not going to the desktop to enter your order. You can even remotely order your song you want to sing. And they have these apps. It's very interesting and amazing. The second one is cellular broadband is more and more powerful. So they enable lots of things can be, and lots of ideas could be added on here. The third is the mobile social networking. It's becoming it's not only a trend, it's becoming a fact. And we have to, this social networking, they have a very powerful, they are very powerful. The enterprise, you got to be watch out of this. And the third one is they have enhanced the location awareness. So this was the fourth one that we drive the mobile device is still going up and up. The sixth one, I would say, that was the Internet of Things. This small Internet of Things will change the world with the mobility together. With some small devices, maybe a chip, maybe just a sensor, you put it in somewhere, and you can locate a lot of things. And if you look at the smart civilian, they can do quick analysis. So they make everything possible. So that's this trend will keep moving the mobility move forward. The last one, I think probably was most meaningful to the enterprise. Mobilization of money. One bank in Taiwan, they are launch a services. Once if you insert a chip into your mobile phone, they can connect this direct into your banking account. And they have some authorized shop and also the high-speed rail train. So you can buy the train ticket you can have the certification and you can use this mobile phone as a pass to go to the gate. So mobilization of money, of course, will be the trend to drive this. The next few minutes, I will take you through some example how the enterprise use the mobility to improve their service channel, sales channel, or internal process and everything. First of all, I give you an example of IBM. In IBM internal, we have about 400,000 employees. IBM internal, we have we call it an app store. Our employee can create an app into IBM's app store, and we just search, and every new app can help us to do some business-related things. So this was a very good idea, and Instead of we just go back to the desktop doing everything. So take another one. It's more commercial. In Canada Airline, they use they implement all the air ticketing and also seat reservation and also check-in, and also you can have your electronic boarding pass all together into your mobile phone. So with that, you can do a very easy check-in and go to your flight. The next one is ING. ING with IBM that they want to increase their sales channel and the transaction platform. They move a lot of their client information and the sales information into the mobile phone, and to help the ING client and their agent and go to approach their end customer. And when they approach the customer, all the data it will be easy to retrieve. So that was their implementation. Well, if we treat the sports, especially the professional sports, is an enterprise, you can see how they are moving very fast. Now you can see a very quick video, that live video on them. So that was moving very fast. This was, let me move to someone that we have, this was we doing with the China logistic company. That, China is very big geo. We help them to build all this mobile solution that with some IoT and the smart chips inside, so they can track all their trucks all over the mainland of China. So they can foresee that when this truck will arrive, how to arrange the next one. So that was another example, and everything was on mobile. This was the latest, very interesting example. This was a solution we work with retail user. That maybe not in Taiwan, like in US, that when you go to shopping, actually you can find lots of product in the same product, but in different supermarket, they have a different discount, and maybe they have a coupon. There's a message in your mobile phone. You will know which one is the best buy price in where. And you just pick the one and go to the supermarket and go take this one down to your bracket, and then then you do the checkout. So this information give you a very broad information on where you can buy the cheapest price around this area. So this was a new innovation we did with some retail store. Credit card request, this was in bank in China, but I think I will skip this example. In the last, maybe people will ask me there's a lot of success, lots of mobility story success in enterprise. If what the thing I want to give some advice to those enterprises, especially CEO, I would say that you don't do it because you have to do it, because you don't follow it. If you cannot create a real value, create a real business model, or really create a very outstanding user experience, the mobile, you just put it on you just treat it as a web page. Be very careful. The bad mouth speak like wild world, because they have some rating in the internet. They were rating you. Oh, this company, their mobile services is very, very lousy, very difficult to use. So welcome to the new world of mobilization, and the enterprise is using that. And we believe that we have more and more business and application will be real, and will be real to your life, not just for personal, not just for fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Waylon. Thank you for the very interesting talk. You talk a lot about the enterprise mobile success stories, and also you shared us what should we do in terms of suggestions if you like to go to mobility. What are the things to watch? And we really understand a little bit about the mobility revolution and why it has unlimited benefit from your talk. Thank you again. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Owen, our second panelist. Now, Steve is the Senior Vice President and Sales and Marketing for NXP Semiconductors. He has joined the NXP for 14 years, and in the last 5 years, he's serving this position. And before that, he worked at Arrow Electronics for 5 years. Now let's welcome Steve Owen, Mr. Steve Owen, to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. You've heard a lot today from before the break as well about Delta, about the life, the responsible life that we need to lead in terms of use of energy. We hear now about the move to mobile devices, and this is really quite exciting. There's a lot of changes taking place in the world around us. It's really exciting, the number of devices coming onto the marketplace. I'll touch on that a little bit. How many devices we're going to see appearing, mobile devices. We all want to be connected. We all want to use more mobile products, and we want to be able to share information about ourselves. And there is a risk there. So there's a couple of things I'd like you to walk away with today in terms of, please do go buy all those products on sale at the show. Use the devices. But think about the security that needs to be considered when you connect and share information about yourself, your identity, which is carried in your ID card or your passport, your information about your bank account that you're sharing when you connect to the bank, and the businesses you're transacting with, the transactions that you're making, and potentially the money that is moving around in those banks. The governments around the world now, and many banks, are starting to consider how mobile devices, and the device that was mentioned carrying a security product inside, and those are out now. The Google Nexus S has been around now. It's getting quite an old phone. It's more than a year old. It carries a security product in. You can do banking on a Citibank account. These products have to be considered carefully, because if you look at China itself, trillions of dollars of transactions are taking place in every country around the world. If people can get onto the internet and hack into that network, it is a big issue. So security has to be at the forefront of everybody's mind whilst we go have fun. So what do we do? So what is NXP? You're actually, many of you are carrying a badge to come into this show. It contains one of our products. You probably arrived maybe on the metro to come here today. It contains one of our chips in the Yo-Yo card here in Taiwan. If you've got an electronic passport with a chip in, it's probably got an NXP chip inside it. Your credit card does contain our chips. So thank you for a lot of business that you're giving us today. You're walking around with our products. These are all security products. Really important. They enable you to buy things, to travel across borders, to enter the MRT system. So what we're doing now is we're moving from this world of paper documents, credit cards, access badges, into the world of the mobile device. And it's really important then that security follows ahead of launch of these products. Because, as was said, if a product is not secure and it fails in the marketplace, the negative reaction towards these products is huge. So NXP is in the business of trust. We produce semiconductors and some other services that go around that with many partners that we have around the world. We have more than 1,000 partners that help us launch solutions, and we work very closely with a number. We're in the trust business. What we want is to enable convenience, to make sure that you can use all those products without thinking about the security, but we absolutely focus on security. Governments, banks, you rely on the security provided in the products you use, cards, passports, etc., on companies like NXP. So the products that we traditionally have been supplying to the marketplace over the last 10 to 15 years are products that you recognize. ID cards, passports. The Oyster card is the Metro card for London, and it has similar features in that you can use as in Taipei, where you can use it in the taxi, you can use it in the Metro, 7-Eleven, and you can take train rides with it. And you can do exactly the same with the Oyster card in and around London. The ID card is also one that's a critical document because it contains information about you. And that's an important piece of information because you need that data to identify who you are. You need to be able to use that data to get a bank account. And you also will in future, as you start to go onto the internet, use these products like Germany have just done, launch a product whereby you can identify yourself to a business or the government as you make transactions. A number of companies and the government have signed up to enable a database to be used where you can identify yourself using your bank account and your ID card, a contactless ID card, and make a transaction. On the flip side, you can receive information back from the company and you know who that company is. It's really important. Credit cards are now more and more moving from magstripe credit cards to ones with chips inside. This is an important point as well because as we increase the level of security, the hackers and there's criminals who are chasing to try and get our money. Magstripes are out of date now. Essentially, the security behind those products is well outdated. It's simple to copy a magstripe. You see it on the internet every day. If you introduce security chips into credit cards, the fraud reduces by a factor of 3. Data from the UK showed that this took place within 2 years of launching the chip and pin systems that you've already got in many parts of the world. Fraud went down by 2 to 3 times. The other aspect is also related to smart living and how we can look at reducing energy usage is the fact that many of us are moving into cities. More and more people are moving from countryside in emerging countries into the cities, but it's happening all over the world. It's not just in Asia, it's in Africa, it's in the Middle East, it's in Latin America. It's still taking place a lot around in Europe. People are moving, more people are moving into cities. Cities like London are getting bigger and more densely populated every day. There are several things that we need to think about as we do that. How people move around. If cars are sat in traffic jams, and I've been in a few this week, if cars are sat in traffic jams, all they're doing is burning gas and wasting business time. You may be sat in that car doing emails and doing banking transactions. We want to make sure that's safe while you do it, but typically you're not in front of customers and clients doing business. For every dollar that's invested in improving transportation systems, there's a $4 economic return. It's fact, it's proven. At the same time, in America there was a survey done, around 785 million hours in travel is wasted every year because people sit in traffic jams, burning 640 million gallons of fuel, pumping it into the environment. That's having an impact on that 2 degrees that we're concerned about on the energy usage. So it's really critical. So the systems that NXP produces that allow people to move on to the public transport systems allows you to do that. And it's got to be convenient. What we also have done is working with the cities is make sure that you can use the same card for road tolls to persuade you to move onto that network, onto the transport network. But it's also capable to be used for the access systems, event ticketing, football stadiums around Europe now. You can use essentially a transportation card as a season ticket for football stadiums to get to your seat, to buy drinks and make payments. So what are we doing? How well is that deployed? Because it's an important piece of information as relates similar and same technology is being used in the mobile phone. Around the world, as I mentioned, we've got about 1,000 partners that have deployed systems. More than 650 cities around the world have MyFare technology, which is used for contactless transportation. What that means is there's a lot of infrastructure already out there waiting for this technology. More than 50 countries. We've shipped more than 5 billion cards. So people are using these products every day and are enjoying it. You're using those products here. It works, you make transactions, it works conveniently, so you keep using it. You're using it in Starbucks, the taxi, you can go in museums, and then, as we said, you can now start to move that product into the phone. You can use the card on the high-speed train. The innovation as well about digitization of documents is really critical. So governments can connect to you through the internet now by use of ID cards, contactless ID cards or contact-based, where you put them inside the PC. What you're going to see more now is contactless cards that sit on or near your PC, or even your identity can go into your phone. So there are discussions taking place with governments around the world to have a security product in your phone and have your ID card, potentially a passport, as part of your mobile phone. It's a few years away, but it's going to be looked at. And the reasons for this, why your identity is critical, national security is one of them, and fraud prevention is the other. If banks have a problem, all of us tend to point at the government and ask them what they're doing about it. So governments have to get involved in dealing with fraud and transaction fraud. So they're involved in setting of legislation to make banks keep up. From your point of view, it's really interesting if you have the ability to travel across a border. You don't get stopped at the border because you can be recognized quickly. Travel is safe and convenient. You can use your credit card. None of us think about whether we use a credit card in anywhere around the world now. We just use them as we travel. And the next phase will be that your access to government will be using contactless products, whether it's a card or a phone. The number of devices that we're going to be seeing connecting to the web is going to jump up tremendously. There's about 5 billion devices around today. It's going to jump to about 22 billion. And as the number of cards with chips in grows, the number of documents, the number of devices will increase. And it's really critical to make sure that it's secure. Governments around the world work with our company, NXP. The Chinese government work with us for passport products. And there's many countries look at the contactless performance as well as the security aspect. So all the devices we think about today, there are many that are really obvious. But some of them are not so obvious. Electricity meters is going to be one of the areas in the spaces, because smart grids are coming to us because we need to manage efficiently and effectively the transfer of power around networks between countries around the globe. And it's an issue. It's another internet. So you need to make sure that systems and access to information in your home and the access into your home is not compromised. So these will contain security products. And as you see as well, there are gaming products that will use, you'll connect to the internet, download games. That content has to be secured because it's branding for many companies, and they don't want free downloads of games and TV content. So two-way communication is a risk, so therefore it needs securing. So the remote control of distributed power is going to be secured using the servers as well as information into your house. You're going to be able to connect using your phones and understand exactly what's happening to the power use in your home. If it goes wrong, it's a disaster. It happened some years ago in the US, 8 states shut down in the dark, no power, no electricity, MRTs closed down, traffic lights out of action. It's a disaster. Hackers potentially could get into these networks. And there are a number of other areas where security is important, and the things that are around us. Mobile not just about mobile devices. Counterfeit products kill people. Medicines today, malaria drugs going into Africa are a big issue. They're typically, many of them are going in as powder. What we talk about at this show here this week as well is the impact of cyber crime now as well. As we use more and more mobile devices, it's an easy step for criminals to move from defrauding individuals to defrauding institutions. And this is something we really have to think about. $226 billion of crime last year. And because, as we've said in several instances, the mobile platform is the new computing platform, more of us are going to be on the internet. We're talking about all of it in a couple of years' time, the fact that the mobile platform will go past the use on the PC. In India and China, it's getting close to more than 50% of people that have a smartphone use that platform as their way to the internet only. So this is going to happen more and more. You are going to do banking. And more of our life is going to be centered around the mobile device, whether the mobile device becomes from a laptop to a tablet or a bigger smartphone. We are going to find ourselves doing this. And security is not just in these mobile devices. The remote control, the remote control that you see on the bottom right is from Sony. This has been out 2 or 3 years. You can download videos and pay for it using a PIN number because there's a security chip inside. So all the things that were described in the first presentation are the things you want to do, connecting to Facebook, paying with a card or a phone, are things we really need to think about and make sure that it's secure so we can go and have that fun. A lot of things we're going to be doing in marketing sense from organizations about presence-based services as you go shopping are going to be dealt with, but the security behind it needs dealing with. And what we're doing is looking at how, when we use the mobile phone, security products enter those devices. So what is the core of what we do? NXP has been a security chip provider for around 15 years. It's based on three premises. It's about tamper-resistant circuits. If someone tries to get inside that chip and change the code, it shuts down. It's about the silicon, how it's manufactured. There are over 100 different security features built up over many years inside those products. And it's about the software that's contained within there. It's software immune to tamper, and it's tamper resistant. This is a critical piece. So we've moved from a world where NXP and ourselves used paper documents to credit cards, bank cards, and smart mobility in the systems, to a world where we're using mobile phones. And we now need to start thinking about counterfeit products. So the last thought I'll leave you with is what is the next application that's going to drive a lot of this activity? I have no idea. Actually, I'm not going to stand up and tell you what it is. I have no idea. The key thing is that access to the internet and access to services and the devices that we use, the thought for these products is going to come from many, many companies. The issue to be solved and dealt with now is the security as you enter onto the internet. And this is something that we've been working on for a number of years. We will continue to do so. And it is critical. So I'll leave you with one thing, is think about the next time you go on and do banking through your mobile phone, how secure that is. If you've got questions, come see me later. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. You know, these technologies are integrated in every aspect of our life. But from your talk, we can see that there are security risks in every aspect of our life as well. You know, be it e-commerce, transportation, healthcare. So thank you for introducing these very important solutions to help us to address these security problems. Our last panelist, certainly not the least, is Mr.Edward Pleet from Ford. Now, Edward is the Connected Service Director of the Ford Motor Company in Asia Pacific, Africa, and Europe. Ed joined Ford 14 years ago and served in various positions, including the product and business development. He currently manages Ford's Connected Service for all of Europe, Asia Pacific, and Africa. Let's welcome Ed.
Thank you very much. Ford is often called the company that put the world on wheels. But we like to think of ourselves as more than just an automotive company. We think of ourselves as a tech company. And we believe that Computex is a tremendous event for us to showcase our technology. At Ford, we believe that the intelligent application of technology can help us deliver the best possible customer experience in our vehicles and help make the world a better place. We have a blueprint for mobility that maps out the future of our cars and technology. In the near term, this blueprint calls for Ford to be at the forefront of developing increasingly intuitive in-car mobile technologies. So we already believe that we have a solution for the post-PC era for our drivers. One of the key challenges that we face in our industry is keeping up with the rapid pace of the consumer electronic industry that my colleagues talked about earlier. In the recent past, product cycle times were in the 6 to 8 year time frame. We've made tremendous progress, and now the development of a new vehicle is about 2.5 to 3 years. But that's still quite behind the pace that we see in the consumer electronics space. Consider that most drivers will replace their mobile phone 3 or maybe even 4 times before they replace their vehicle. And over the course, over the course of the next few decades, the global vehicle population will grow by several billion units. Much of that growth will also be here in Asia, where we're seeing the greatest growth in the post-PC era. As of 2011, there were over 6 billion wireless subscriptions for mobile phone services, and that included 1.2 billion mobile broadband subscriptions, with Asia leading the way. And today, looking at some of the applications, while the United States has the most absolute users of Facebook, if you look at it from a percentage perspective, many other nations actually have more users of Facebook than the US. And one of those markets is right here in Taiwan. In the future, most new drivers and vehicle owners may never own a PC. I think that's a point that all of us have now made. Instead, they're going to opt to go directly to a post-PC device because it delivers all the functionality that they need and it gives them the mobility that they're looking for. These consumers do not want to sacrifice their connected life when they enter in the vehicle. They still want to be connected when they have that freedom and that experience of vehicle ownership. That's why our strategy at Ford for delivering driver connectivity is different than others in the industry. It's helped us become a leading player in the post-PC space. Instead of acting as if the vehicle is at the center of our consumer's universe, like some of our competitors do, by actually bolting in a phone or embedding a SIM card into the vehicle, we actually make the car an integral part of the driver's continuous connected lifestyle. Our platform that we implemented is called Sync, and we developed it in a partnership with Microsoft. Ford and Microsoft have been driven by a shared vision of helping consumers combine their digital lifestyles and their life on the road. Sync, powered by Microsoft, has been a transformational technology for the industry and has been able to keep pace with the consumer and deliver constantly increasing value through a continuous flow of new features. It's helped us keep vehicle owners connected to their digital lifestyles in a safer, simpler, and a smarter way while they're driving. Sync uses the Microsoft Windows Embedded Automotive Operating System, which provides us with more flexibility, the ability to innovate, speeds up the product refresh cycle time, and lets us update Sync to keep up with the latest pace of the consumer electronic industry. In fact, much of the like post-PC devices, we offer our customers the ability to upgrade their vehicles through a download from on a USB device, much like post-PC units, even without going to a dealership for an upgrade. As a result, Sync has evolved quickly, and it's grown to deliver even more value to customers, even on their existing vehicles. Sync has truly become what we believe the people's connectivity choice. And now we're excited to announce that we're bringing Sync to Taiwan. and it's going to begin with the all-new Ford Focus, and it's going to include the ability to control the system using Mandarin. At the same time, we're also introducing our AppLink software technology to Asia Pacific. AppLink is the only system in the auto industry that allows for the control of smartphone applications using voice control. It can control smartphone applications on iOS, Android, and even BlackBerry devices. AppLink ensures that our drivers have access to leading apps such as TuneIn Radio, Pandora, National Public Radio News, and even a navigation application called Sync Destinations. Through our Sync development website, which you can access at syncmyride.com/developer, we've actually been soliciting partnerships with anyone who has a commercial app available. We are the only auto manufacturer who offer actually an SDK to our partners to allow for driver connectivity platforms with full access to voice recognition and a text-to-speech engine in the vehicle. The Sync AppLink SDK allows developers to enable their apps with voice recognition capability, command and control of their app, using the vehicle's text-to-speech engine to provide audible information to the customer. They also are able to display specific app information on the display of the vehicle. So any third-party developer who builds apps for iOS, Android, or BlackBerry can create a hands-free, voice-controlled user experience for any smartphone through Sync. AppLink also gives mobile app developers the power to access a wealth of vehicle data, including GPS information that comes from the vehicle's GPS module, which is often much more accurate than the GPS module that's actually on the device itself. Through AppLink, our drivers can enjoy an array of third-party Ford Sync-enabled apps that will help our drivers keep their hands on the steering wheel and their eyes on the road where they should be. Here at Computex, we'll be demonstrating some of these features of AppLink, including how it works with TuneIn Radio, which provides access to more than 50,000 radio stations worldwide. We're also going to show you the results of a 24-hour hackathon that we conducted with Facebook, where Ford engineers and Facebook engineers came together to develop ways on how to socialize the vehicle. Some of the features that they came up with was the ability to identify a restaurant by looking at what your friends have chosen and what they've liked, as well as being able to automatically check in to a location as soon as you park the vehicle. This was really exciting for us. We're going to show a brief video to show you a little bit more about that event.
Ford's here at Facebook this evening. We're all hacking together.
Welcome to this hackathon. Do something awesome. I'm excited to see it. And if it is your first hackathon, I brought chips. I brought habanero chips. Oh, those things are crazy.
We're all programmers, we're all nerds, we're all having a good time being up late, drinking too much caffeine and having fun.
Sugar-free, come on.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's 11 right now. Experimentation starts.
What I'm working on is being able to automatically check in, and this will happen like right after you ignition off in your vehicle. So you won't even have to do anything extra.
We're working on an app that scrapes a bunch of vehicle data off of a real vehicle and tries to do something interesting with it, like give people achievements for getting really good fuel economy and posting it on Facebook so that you can essentially kind of develop some kind of a game in which people try to outdo each other by getting better and better fuel economy.
So we're working on an app that will play the music that your friends are playing right now. You get in your car, you don't have to think about music, you just hit go. But it's just an idea right now. We'll see how much we can create in the next couple hours.
Right now it is 1:30. I think the really interesting stuff is about to start.
We're doing pretty well. He's taking good advantage of my sync knowledge. I'm taking good advantage of his Facebook knowledge.
8 hours left until the demo, so we'll be able to get something working before then.
Okay, it's 5:44 in the morning. We're about to test for the first time. It's probably going to go down in flames, but we'll learn something, come back soon, and retest.
Installation complete.
I had slight success.
We're very excited. This code is actually working. The code actually works.
We got Spotify going into our app now. That was a big step.
We're going to have a judging event in the morning, and each team is going to come in front of a panel of judges.
Basically see who came up with the most interesting idea.
Got it on this thumb drive right here.
Yeah, so we were working on a very simple way to sit down in your car and hear music that you'll probably like. You open up your app and it just starts playing music that one of your friends has recently played.
Welcome to Facebook events. You have 2 upcoming events. New message from the Glody Johnson Heimat. What's up? Please say a command.
Facebook status.
Right now you're driving along, you ignition off.
Actually really good showing. A bunch of things that I wish I had in my car. A few demos that you see, you're like, yeah, we should just have this on the site immediately. This is just a feature we should immediately have. That's a kind of a just ship it feature. Just ship that.
We're going to go back to Dearborn and decide what we can roll out.
I think we have the opportunity to make the ultimate socially enabled car.
Hey, Matt, you okay? Oh man, he's out.
So pretty neat. Just an example of the power of what we can do with AppLink. We actually conducted a poll on our Ford Social website to determine what our customers thought was the neatest feature. And they actually chose a feature that allows you to listen to your friends' Spotify music playlist, so you can listen to what your friends are listening to as well. Pretty cool. Sync has a long list of consumer benefits that has made it the most popular connectivity system in the automotive industry. Sync is our unique solution to the challenge that we face as vehicle manufacturers when it comes to keeping pace with the consumer electronic industry. It's based on a powerful platform and links to the vehicle's owner's personal mobile device. Sync makes the vehicle an integral part of the driver's post-PC lifestyle. And it gives the ability for us to keep pace with the changing technology and consumer expectations for the entire life of the vehicle. At Ford, we are committed to go further. And that means we're going to continue to work with the most innovative technology partners, offering applications and functions that are the most important to each individual driver. And we will continue to strive and maintain our leadership for in-vehicle technology that keeps our consumers connected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward, for this very exciting presentation. Yeah. I'm very impressed about the approach of linking our mobility world, our network world, our social network to our car. I think this is a great approach, and welcome again, Ford, to Computex.
Thank
you. We just heard 3 great presentations, very exciting. And next half hour or so, we're going to have some free format kind of discussion. And I have a couple of prepared questions here, but I also like to open to the audience. If any of you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. Yeah, anyone want to start with a question? So, we have a lot of challenges facing us in this very exciting new world, and maybe security is the #1 challenge when we are going to this post-PC era. And we heard Steve talk a lot about the NXP solutions addressing this area, but security certainly has to do with all of you. Can you tell us how do you address the security issue when helping your clients? Waylon, can you please start?
Hello. Let me start to answer this question with just share one information that I just read from the newspaper that even in Taiwan we have this article. IBM CIO just announced that in IBM Corporation we are not allowed the employee to use Siri, the Apple Siri, and the Dropbox. The reason is they found that the Siri, they are They are receiving some data and send to somewhere and doing some analysis and get back. So that was some of the data out of the enterprise control. So I think that was when we talk about security, not only the assets security, we are more sensitive on the data security, especially in the corporate. I think they are more concerned on the corporate data. Even today, that's the personal data in banks will becoming very sensitive issue. So when we talking about the mobile solutions, since there will be this security, of course, will be my view is first priority issue. That when we build a solution, that a security issue should be well considered, and since that it's not like in the traditional that we know we have some application users, they are using PC somewhere, but right now they are using different devices, different format, but we want to then to share the same data. So the security will of course be a very, very, very high priority reason to do that. I think that to resolve the security issue, we have a lots of approach. I think that chip card was one of the solution, and we can use more secured software embedded in the upfront, and we can have that. I think there's many solutions, but all this was to suppose that Dr. Wang, just what you said, that security will be a very key issue when we move into the mobilization. Yeah, that was our experience.
Okay, thank you, Waylon. Ed, do you want to add to this problem?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for your warm welcome. We're excited to be here for the first time, and we're very excited to be the first automaker ever to be at Computex, so it's very exciting for us. But I agree, security is a major concern for us, especially as our customers are driving down the road at 100 kilometers per hour. And we do take it very seriously in a variety of fronts. The Sync platform that we developed was actually developed initially with security in mind. The system was developed both with a hardware and a software layer for security that actually separates the connection between the platform and the device versus the platform and the vehicle. So there's actually a physical layer there. So it's quite a concern for us. At this point, for app integration, we work with selected partners that we go through security tests and through a variety of protocols with. And we have the capability through encryption to actually determine what applications are valid to work with our vehicle and can receive vehicle information like GPS that I mentioned earlier or other vehicle data, and which partners cannot, and we can actually revoke that capability as well.
Thank you. So, before the panel we had this chat, and Ed, you mentioned that it's good that we don't have competitors in the same panel, right? So, in this aspect, in the security aspect, I think all of you should work together. Now, Steve, do you want to add, or you have comments to the fellow panelists about how to collaborate in security?
Yes, thank you. So security is it's a concept. So the description of the use case Ed mentioned around the car, and then there's also in the systems and servers and all around us. So the challenge for us in the industry, in whatever industry it is describing the risk. And you mentioned an app cannot get onto a platform or vehicle. It's really critical to understand the risk you're protecting against. So the challenge for any business is what is the cost of that protection? So in some cases where we're showing about medical products, it can be quite a simple, very low cost. In the case of an app in a vehicle, it's really critical. So you have to have the highest levels. And this is where it is important for businesses and legislation and governments to get together to understand how to do that, because safety is involved, and asset and ID protection. So it's not a trivial matter. There are not many companies that can define and design the silicon, the hardware technology or the software to make this happen. And there's a lot of collaboration taking place today. But it is something that we're going to see. If you go check out on the internet now and look at the amount of hacks of company databases that are taking place, they're a tremendous number. The challenge for us all in any of these applications we use is how to stay ahead of criminal activity, or even, as we see sometimes, kids working from home hacking into complete systems. So it's really a challenge, but the more mobile we are, the more we connect to the net, the more it's going to hit us in the face. It's really important.
Thank you. So, any questions from the audience? Anyone?
My question is related to monetization. So you had some interesting applications that you would write on the Ford application, which seems it will drive more users to buy Ford Motors. That's clear. But for apps as an ecosystem, at the end of the day, either you have to save people time, save people money, or find new revenue sources. How do you see automotive as an industry, an automobile specifically, being a way for app developers or yourselves to monetize? Who makes the money from the value chain, so to speak, in the digital life or post-PC computing?
Sure, great question. It's interesting. When I look at just my personal behavior, I'll go out and get an app based on the level of value that it provides to me. And I think that's true for a lot of consumers. I think it was mentioned earlier, I think Mr. Owen mentioned the waste that we see of people's time in traffic and such. And we believe that the time that people spend in their vehicles is significant, and that adds a lot of dedicated time that people can use those apps, regardless of what the app is. So an app that now can access someone that has downtime or dedicated time on their commute, and they can actually be productive versus just sitting there, starts to add a lot more value to the app, which ultimately drives potential more customers to get the app. Currently, we're not in the app business, and we're not trying to have a brand new revenue stream for apps. It's around what you just said. It's around increasing the connectivity for our customers so they can have a better experience in a Ford car, and ultimately, hopefully buy more Ford vehicles. But I think it really depends. With the Appling technology I talked about, there are all kinds of capabilities. Think about location, proximity marketing, revenue streams that now come in because you know where the customer is, and you can send marketing coupons to them based on where they are, and pulling in to get a product that was on their wish list or something like that. So I don't think there's any one answer. Typically today, we've been working, and the app developers have been excited to add our APIs to their app, because it adds the value, like I mentioned earlier, and then our customers gain by having that increased capability in their vehicle. So there is really no one mechanism, but I think the key one that's going to come out probably as the most popular is really adding value to the apps, which is going to then drive more customers to get those apps.
Thank you, Ed. Any more questions from the audience? You know, I think ease of use or easy to use UI is a critical success factor for solutions, for mobile solutions and so on. And finally, you know, I'm impressed with the thing that you're using speech recognition as an easy to use UI. You know, actually, hands-free is, you know, it's very important in the car that you take advantage of speech recognition. But speech recognition has been developed for many years. The question is it finally, you know, mature enough for critical applications? And how about the security risks associated with the speech recognition? Now, how about different languages? How do you think that the speech recognition will, populate to other languages to reach your customers? And when you develop enterprise mobile solutions, do you think that you're going to use more and more speech active solutions? So, Ed, can you maybe address this question first?
Sure, I think there's a few questions there. From an HMI interface perspective, I agree with you, it's critical. From our studies, it's shown that from a driver distraction perspective, because again, we need to drive, if we're going to have customers use applications in our vehicles, they need to do it safely while they're driving. It's a safety issue, which is critical. And we've chosen voice, and the voice choice, voice control choice was based on data, studies showing that real driver distraction occurs when customers take their eyes off of the road. So we have studies that show the speed at which you can access a song or access really anything on a mobile app using voice versus looking away, trying to use your smartphone device itself, which was never really designed for an automotive application. So we really think voice is the right solution. As far as whether it's ready or not, just looking at the data that we have currently, we have over 80% of our customers would actually recommend the sync system. So it's proved immensely popular, and our customers are using the voice recognition system, which to me is probably the biggest proof point of whether it's ready or not. I think your other question was around languages, and languages is a critical issue. The sync platform that we've developed is just that. It's a platform that we've been able to roll out, and we're still in the process of rolling out globally. Well, it's a great platform, but if it doesn't work in the native language of that country, it's not going to be well used and well received, and we understand that. So we've actually developed 19 languages for the sync platform to start with that we're continuing to roll out, and the most recent that we announced was the language capability of Mandarin Chinese, and also using not only simplified Chinese, but also traditional characters as the user interface in the vehicle. And we've gone further than just adding just base Mandarin, because as many of us know, there's many Mandarins. As I live in Shanghai, there's Shanghainese and several dialects. So we've spent a lot of time and energy working with our partners at Nuance, really refining the capability of the voice recognition to recognize a variety of dialects. And it currently will recognize over 6 of the most major dialects in China. My last example, which I think is interesting, even in English, what we're using to communicate at this forum, we've actually developed it in 3 versions. So we have US English, we have UK English, we have Australian English. So we recognize that not only do you need to support that language, you need to support the dialect and the accent to make sure that it is a high capable system, because if it's not, customers won't use it. And so far, we've been able to prove that.
Now, I understand that to get a better accuracy, some of the technology requires some kind of training. That you ask the user to speak like 100 sentences and so on, so to make it better. Does Sync take advantage of that? Do you need that, or do you think that's necessary?
I think in voice recognition technology, even marginal improvements help, and it makes it that much better. So yes, we do use that, and we do think it's helpful, and it just helps us continuing to improve the accuracy levels. So it's a good tool that helps you personalize that experience and that capability for that individual driver.
Thank you. So Waylon, do you want to comment on use of speech technology for your solutions?
I think this was more like a research problem. On the voice recognition is very useful in some mobile applications That's because that will be very easy to present a user-friendly interface. I think that would depends on how serious you are. If we're just doing the voice recognition just to recognize the odors or something, I think the degree of the recognition probably will not. We have more tolerant. So that will be okay. But I think, for example, in the casing like Ford, or that if we want to recognize your voice to make some instruction to the car or vehicle, that would be I think they need more higher standard. So I think there's a lot of research is moving forward here, like training, Dr. you mentioned, and they also try to break into the language into a lot of category. And of course, that this was the area we also using a lot, and also right now a more fancy topic was on the face recognition. On the face recognition, especially on the mobile application, that we face a lot of this kind of thing. I think that it also depends on how precise you want to do. Or you just want to become just like Samsung using the face recognition, just becoming a password to open the machine. I think that will be very easy to achieve. But like us, we are doing some project with police department. We are using the face recognition, try to track the criminal and follow up with them. So this kind of face recognition, they need more accuracy. So I think that would depend on the requirement of how accuracy and how sensitive, how important that will be. But basically, I think this kind of a recognition technology will be very commonly used in the mobile world. Voice, face recognition, fingerprint, and right now they are more fancy, have a lot of idea, even your eyeball.
So talking about identification, Steve, do you want to comment on speaker ID? Do you provide speaker identification solutions from a security perspective?
It's not an area that we've ventured into yet, but it is something that we're researching. So what Ed mentions as well, the use of non-safety critical areas. This is an exciting area for consumer products and where you can access data that you want while you maintain use of the vehicle safely. But there are many other forms, and again, it depends on the type of security and the risk associated with the use of that way of accessing some data. So there are a number of things we already do. So passports today contain not just your picture, it has your in many countries now it has your fingerprints, and some countries now have gone as far as retina scans as well. So it's multiple recognition of who you are to access that data. We've been doing quite a bit of work, probably pre-voice recognition, but it is unique to each of us. We're looking at gesture recognition for a number of products that we have. So we've actually got passwords. We have a product out, a password to get into a credit card using gesture recognition, similar to what you have on mobile phones now. So there are many, many different forms of accessing data that are unique. In Japan, there are use of the veins in your hand as access to a bank account as well. So as many forms of recognition that we can think about and use cases, there will be applications. It all depends on the asset and the thing we want to protect, or whether it's just to access something for fun safely. So there are more and more things going to come at us. But in the end, then it's as your question is, it's the monetization of something. Is it fun to use, and can you get access to that whilst the security is maintained as well?
Thank you, Steve. Any comments from the audience? Any more questions from the audience? How much time do we have? We started a bit earlier.
Could I just jump in?
Yes, please.
I was just thinking a little bit more about your question on monetization as well, and maybe this is something we hook up on. So there is a way of the apps, and this is where mobile phones and NFC and use of security products, which was mentioned earlier, that there is a way of monetizing what you're talking about by having, whether it's embedded in the car, a security product, or in a phone, of having these apps and part of those apps embedded in a security product. And you can have it ready to go before the product's even issued, so you can preload it in a factory. There's a number of partners, and some of them in here as well, that you can work with then to specify what that is. And as I mentioned, what you do is you in your daily life, you go and buy apps. You buy an MRT card, you buy apps and download them. If you preload them in these security products, and then you activate them later, typically you pay a fee for doing so. You do it on phone services now. So the way probably that this is going to happen for cars and also for mobile phones is you will pay for the service to be activated for the premium content, some of the apps you get for free. That key will arrive in the product, or the car, could be through the GSM, it could be something you download into a key, and you will pay for that content. And then the service provider will be there. This exists today, these services exist already. It just needs to move into different types of vehicles. So the monetization and recurring revenues can come from that. So it's quite an exciting opportunity in front of us.
Thank you, Steve. Follow-up question?
No escape.
One of the things I was thinking about, back to the IBM presentation, is why can't Ford build, I'm not picking on you, but saying why can't you build a application to allow you to be a preferred vendor for Hertz or Avis, where I can check in my car, check out my car using my mobile phone, and my bill is downloaded, so I don't even need to deal with keys. I can't tell you how many times I forgot to have the keys actually in my bag, and I'm halfway around the world and I have to find a way to ship it back. So things like that, where it is actually embedded in for a rental vehicle, that could be a way that you could potentially monetize an application. I was just thinking through that.
Sure. So I think there are many ways to monetize it, but I think the question ultimately comes back down to value. How many customers are going to use a capability like that? And our current process, our current mindset is that the customer is already having a business relationship with that app provider. Maybe with its Hertz has an app, or an insurance company, or you name it. And while we could participate in that, sometimes our participation in asking for a revenue share or something slows down some of that innovation. So I think there's all kinds of ways of monetizing apps and adding additional capability, but I think those are all levers that can be used to add more functionality. And what we've chosen to do is, instead of embedding it in the vehicle, is actually leverage the phone that the customer is already paying for, the app that you've already paid for, that you already know how to use, that you already love, instead of embedding it and charging another fee. A good application of that is an emergency service that we've designed, and we have it in over 4 million vehicles in North America, and we're launching it right now in Europe. And because we are able to not embed the SIM card and leverage the customer's device, we actually offer that service free for the lifetime of our customer. If you look at the competitive services, there's a significant charge at the vehicle purchase time, and then an ongoing annual fee for that type of service. So we just don't think that's the right model at this point, because we don't see people wanting to pay for those services. So that's not to say that things won't change in the future, but right now we're really trying to align ourselves with the consumer electronics space, where a lot of these apps and capabilities are free. They're trying to monetize it through ads and other things. And that, to us, is that's the mindset that consumers coming in when they want to have this capability in the vehicle.
Thank you. Comments? Additional comments? More questions? So we have a few minutes left. Anybody want to talk about cloud computing a bit? What IBM is doing in cloud computing? It's a big subject.
How IBM doing cloud computing? We do we do in many. So we do a large thing. Or maybe I would just say that what we do in Taiwan, okay, we have a public cloud offering that Taiwan we just launched. And we are not only intently to do the public cloud because we think that we are more on the enterprise. So we are offer the public cloud as an alternative for our enterprise user when they want to do, when they need some development machine or testing machine, we provide them. And the other thing I think our strategy is more important is working with the Taiwan the software and application development vendor. We create a platform, help them to porting the application into the cloud. Because that's normally if you want to build a cloud, the barrier was about, I would say about 500,000 US dollars on hardware software. But if we can have a common platform that help them all into the cloud, then the application and the offering will be rich and better. This was the one we also work with the Zhonghua Dianxin and also probably Zhang Zhenwei. We will also work with the government together. So I think that was a thing will have a more meaningful, not only to the enterprise user and also the government and the public people.
Thank you. Any more comment on the subject?
I would add just so from our perspective, the device that really is the gateway to the cloud for our customers is the mobile app that they're using. And we see a trend of customers moving away from systems that are embedded in the vehicle, moving to that system that's on a phone that's actually very, very capable. A good example of that is navigation. So customers are moving towards a choice of using navigation and those type of services that are actually through an app on their phone itself. And the advantage of that for a customer is it's always connected, right? They're able to get real-time traffic information, the points of interest are always updated, and frankly, it's a lot less expensive. So we recognize that trend, and what we're trying to do now with the AppLink product and what the capability that lies out there is taking that application that is always updated and consumers are using, but integrated in the vehicle in a safe way, in a very useful way that offers the customer that much more value versus fumbling their phone and looking at it or putting it in some kind of little holder on their dash or something like that. So we're excited about what's happening with the cloud computing space, and we're taking full advantage of it right now with our sync system.
Thank you, Ed.
Maybe on the cloud, I add on one more point. Today, our topic was more on the mobilization, mobility devices. But honestly speaking, if you want to do a very good mobilized solution, don't forget on the system behind, you must have a very powerful cloud to support that, because that many of the smartphone or tablet PC, they can have this kind of application, but that was only in the upfront. The back end, you need to have a very powerful cloud to do some of lots of recognition, searching, and the things behind. So I think these two topics is connected together, and I foresee that this mobilization, and the cloud will be a topic tightly coupled together. So when you need to have a more, in the user front of view, we need to be more user-friendly, more fancy UI, user interface. But in the back end, the cloud will be more, we need more data, more quick analysis, and provide more meaningful data to support to the upfront. So I think these two topics exactly was tightly together.
Thank you.
Actually, just one short sentence. There's 1 short minute left. My recommendation is please go use the cloud. The cloud will get sorted out in terms of their data. But if you're going to go on the cloud, make sure you secure what you're doing. So whether it's on the enterprise or whether it's on fun stuff, really, really think about connecting safely and securely. And that's actually the responsibility of the businesses that are providing services as well as individuals at the same time. There are solutions out there. Many of us just don't think about this yet. We're so excited to get on the cloud and do things. But just think about it before you go on. Am I secure? And what I'm sharing, is it secure? And then we'll have a lot more fun. We'll sleep better at night.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah. I think we had a very exciting panel. Yeah. We heard 3 great speeches, and we know that the things are happening, from our 3 different perspectives. We talk a lot about the challenges. Despite all the challenges, the challenges are being addressed. The post-PC era is here, and our life will get smarter, and our work will get smarter. Thank you so much. Let's thank all the 3 panelists for this great panel. Thank you.
Let's thank all the honorable guests for bringing us such an inspiring discussion. And now we would like to invite all the distinguished speakers to move forward. Let's take a group photo together. And friends from the media or any photographer, if you would like to take a picture, you're also welcome to move in the front.